Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for The Last of Us, Season 1, Episode 5, Endure and Survive. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first, and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos, my vast video library, and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, please hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you feel lucky or you feel like gambling, you can hit that bell down below, and YouTube may or may not notify you when I come on live. Best thing to do is go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at that schedule I have up there. I change it every week. Also have all the links to my social media and all the links to my pages there as well. And sorry I'm a little bit late today. Actually, this was not my fault. I'm going to blame the dog on this one. So it was actually her fault, but still had to take care of things there. All righty. Spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. Give you enough time to pause, go away, whatever you need to do. All right. Trying to actually put that back in the cup there. Kind of hard to do. And yes, by the way, those are Boba Fett Disney ears right there. So that is a new addition to the wall back there. I'm going to try and change some stuff up a little bit here for everybody. So, we leave off. Where we left off last week was, Joel and Ellie waking up to guns in their face. Henry and Sam were there. And then we get Henry and Sam's background. So basically, we go back 10 days, which is how long Kansas City's been free from Fedra. They've been under federal rule for 20 years. And as it's been said, Fedra basically raped, tortured, and killed a lot of people during those 20 years. So they had it coming, is what was going on there. So we also find out later on from Henry, once Henry and Sam kind of calmed down Joel and Ellie, or mainly Joel for the most part. Yeah, Pepper's fine. It's just upset stomach. That's all it is. So the only thing that was going on here was, they need to calm down Joel for the most part. And once that happens, Henry proposes to, if they can get them out of Kansas City, or they can show them the way out, they just need to clear a way for Henry and Sam to get out as well. And they're brothers, by the way. So they decide to use the underground. That's where they're going to go. And because Kansas City has a series of maintenance tunnels, all that kind of stuff. So they go down there, and they've been cleared out for about 3 years now. And they do end up getting to, they're going to, basically the river is where they're going to, and trying to get underneath all the patrols and everything. And Henry ends up finally telling Joel why Kathleen wants him dead. And it's because Sam was sick. He had leukemia. Fedra did happen to have the medicine that he needed. And so he gave up Kathleen's brother, who was the leader of the resistance originally, to Fedra. And Fedra killed him. And they cured Sam. So that's the reason why she wants Henry dead, obviously, is because, Henry gave up her brother. And you see that she is a very unreasonable person. At one point, she's standing inside her family home. And Perry comes in, and basically she is talking about, what her and her brother, what he used to do for her and all this kind of stuff. And how he was the more, even when he was in jail, he told her not to blame anyone, not to take it out on anybody else. And she's like, fuck that. She goes, I'm not that person. Yeah, she goes, hunt them down, kill them, is basically what she's saying. So they end up getting to this house. They're almost to the river there, and of course, Ellie and Henry are making light of it. They're actually talking, even though Joel's telling them to keep it the fuck down. And sure enough, they get a sniper that starts, taking pot shots at them, but he's got a really bad aim. So Joel's able to get into the house, ends up taking out the sniper. He doesn't want to. He wants to give the old guy a chance to run. Of course, he doesn't. But he hears over the radio that Kathleen's coming with her army, which sucks at this point, right? So the army does show up, and with their trucks and everything. And Joel is able to take out the driver of one of the trucks, which ends up going into a house. It explodes. And then as Kathleen is calling out Henry, um, and Henry is going to come out and give himself up. And basically, she's going to kill everybody there because Joel killed her guys, obviously. So she wants retribution for that. Ellie was with Joel, so she's dead. Sam was with Henry, so he's dead. So yeah, she's going to kill everybody, is what's going to happen. Um, you see the truck teeter into the hole, and all of a sudden, out of the hole comes a bunch of fucking infected. Um, we got clickers, and then we have something called a bloater, which is a giant infected guy that looks like a giant mushroom, if you will. And he's just ripping people apart. He's bulletproof, essentially, too. So, people are taking shots at him, nothing's working. Um, Ellie takes off, and I mean, it's a pretty horrifying scene. This is the most infected that we've seen in the series so far. And Ellie jumping into the back, jumping through a broken window, a small window in the back of a truck so that she can get away from, the infected. And she's safe for the most part until a child infected gets in there, a child clicker. And that actually, it kind of made zombies a little more horrifying again. So yeah, it was actually a really good scene, and having her escape from that, seeing that Henry and Sam are trapped underneath the car, and you kind of know what's going on there at that point. I kind of put two and two together there. She gets them out of there. They're running to the house where Joel is, and sure enough, Kathleen shows up out of nowhere. Um, and she's gonna shoot them until the child clicker takes her down, and they make it out to the river at that point. And they're in a hotel room, a motel room. And Sam and Ellie and Sam have been bonding before all of this. They've been getting along. They've been having friends. Joel has even invited them to come along with them to Wyoming, on the search for his brother. And he accepts, of course. They're going to go. But in the room, we see that Sam has been bitten. Ellie says, "Don't worry about it. My blood is medicine." And she cuts her hand and she smears it on his wound. And he asks her to stay up all night with her. And Sam is, by the way, is deaf too. I keep forgetting to mention that as well. And so he is writing all this down on his little board that he has. It's a little erasable board that he has. And she ends up falling asleep in the chair. She wakes up the next morning, and Sam is sitting on the bed facing the window, not saying anything. And she goes to tap him on the shoulder and says, "Hey, are you okay?" And Sam, of course, is turned at that point. And so he and Ellie burst into the next room where, Joel and Henry are, and Henry ends up getting the gun instead. He's telling Joel, "No, don't do it." And then he ends up killing Sam. And I mean, honestly, when you can't think that this show gets any more depressing, every time you meet some of these people, they end up dying. And sure enough, Henry, ends up turning the gun on himself. And we don't get to see it, obviously, thankfully. You see the horror on Ellie's face as he kills himself. And yeah. Um, so the kicker all out of all this, the gut punch, I guess you can say, is they're burying they're burying both Henry and Sam, and Ellie leaves behind Sam's board, his erase board that he has. It's one of those little plastic sheets that you write on top of wax. There's a black wax underneath, so when you write on the plastic sheet, you can see it, and you just lift up the piece to erase it, and it says, "I'm sorry." She's not the one that wrote "I'm sorry" on there. That was actually Sam who wrote "I'm sorry," because if you take a look at the handwriting, They actually were showing you this, that you saw Sam's writing and you saw her writing. Her writing was a little more compact. Sam's was a bit more, child scrawl, and so that's what I'm sorry was written by Sam. And she kind of leaves it on the grave, and you know, she basically says to Joel, she goes, "Hey, which way is west?" He points down and goes, "Better get going." And she just starts walking off. And you see that look on Joel's face of like, fuck, he's he's been on his own for 20 years, really. I mean, yes, he's had relations and all that kind of stuff, but he hasn't had that kind of bond like he had with Sarah, and now he's getting that with Ellie. And and the other thing too, Ellie, had confided in Sam that her biggest fear is being alone, winding up alone. And she's kind of getting all this traumatizing stuff happening on this way, to Wyoming. Um, and well, to California really is where she's going to go. So, I mean, yeah, it's pretty brutal. This show is actually fairly brutal, and it's very well done at the same time. So, CBM, yeah, I didn't catch it at first either, and then I had read something and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. It is a different writing." And so, yeah, it's even more of a gut punch when you start thinking about it, and you're just like, "Fuck." He knew he was turning, and that was the last thing he was able to write. So, yeah. Yeah. So, uh, damn good show. And again, like I said, I keep going back to The Walking Dead, the first couple of seasons of The Walking Dead, which are really good as well. And this, I think, has elevated a bit, more. And I know there's an Easter egg to the show in there as well when they end up in the underground in the preschool room that's underground there. There is a drawing that's up on the wall that says "Our Protectors," and there's a protector that's there by has an I name. I can't remember what it's called. It's an unusual name, and I guess that's part of the video game. That is when you're playing the game, you come across some notes, and so that is one of the Easter eggs that's in there too. CBM says, I wonder if it was a reference to her being alone because another person changed and left her closer. Yeah, there's that too. Ish. Thank you. Thank you. Ish. Yes. CBM is the name. So, so that was another Easter egg from the game there. Um, but damn, I mean, and if you saw the previews for next week, they end up in Wyoming. They end up finding, Joel's brother. And so, yeah, all this stuff is going down now at this point. So, oh, man. So it's a good show, like I said. And you really don't have to show a lot. And again, I said this at the very beginning of all of this, the very first episode, when we first meet oh god, Anna Torv's character. Blanking on her name all of a sudden. But anyway, uh, we have it where, she had already gotten the shit beat out of her. We didn't need to see her get beaten up. And that's the whole thing. It happened off screen, it happened off camera. You don't need to see it. You just see the aftermath of it to know that she'd been through some shit at that point. And it's the same thing with, in this episode with Henry committing suicide and not having to see it happen. You just see it through Ellie's eyes, as it's happening. And that is a little more powerful, I think, than just having to go through and do the special effects of all this stuff and or the stunts of all of this. And yeah, it's just a lot more brutal that way. Penn says the brother better not die too. I don't know. I've never played the game, but supposedly, I guess this is hewing close to some parts of the game. And I guess the Henry and Sam characters in the game, it does happen that way. So I guess in the game, instead of cutting to Ellie's face, it goes to black and you hear the gunshot. Yes, exactly. CBM doesn't use shocking violence to make us connect. It doesn't need to. I mean, we already have enough of the violence of, what's going on in this world. Even though it's 20 years after the fact, after the first infection, it's still a pretty violent world. And yeah, you don't really need to visit those kind of horrors on people. So, good episode. I'm looking forward to next week as well. Next week should be back to Sunday. So, I guess not, of course, this Sunday, but next Sunday, which is fine. That will be the 18th? The 18th. Is that right? I think so. Yes, I think so. So, what else do I have going on for the rest of this week? Well, tomorrow I'm off. Monday I'm off as well. Tuesday is probably is going to be actually it's going to be Harley Quinn is what that's going to be. So, it's going to be a special edition of Harley Quinn since we had a special Valentine's Day edition of Harley Quinn on HBO Max. So that'll be on Tuesday. Wednesday will be the Bad Batch. Thursday I'm gonna be off because I'm gonna go see Quantum Mania is what's gonna happen. Friday, I'm thinking I'm gonna do Is It Worth My Time? And this time around I'll do Lockwood and Company, which I was supposed to do. So I think that's what I'll do on Friday. Yeah. And then we'll play fast and loose the weekend. I'm not sure what next weekend's gonna bring. It's a 3-day weekend next weekend, so here in the States anyway. So we'll see what happens. So, with that said, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you to everybody who joined me tonight in the chat. And thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops up here just for you. And if you like what you see here, please hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'll be on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change it every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media and all the links to my pages as well. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to let you guys go for the rest of the night. I will see you again on Tuesday of next week. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may wind up where someone's been bitten and infected, and they don't tell you because that's the way these things go now in these fucking horror movies. Someone gets bitten or infected, they don't tell you until it's too late, and they end up infecting everyone else. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again on Tuesday. Have a good rest of your weekend, and stay safe, be well, take care, wear those masks, get those vaccine shots, get the boosters as well. Doesn't worry about the boosters. And remember, the Super Bowl is tomorrow. So for those of you who don't watch the Super Bowl like me, that's when all the shops will be empty and you can actually go out and do grocery shopping without any meatheads roaming around because they'll all be inside watching a pointless game. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you again on Tuesday. Have a good rest of your weekend and take care out there. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.